That's when I want to be able to walk you through my thought process as well as my strategy and how I think about queuing up promos, launches, and making a pitch and offer from start till the end of every campaign. If you have any launch that is taking place and you're required to write some sort of email sequence over a span of 3 days, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, promoting that new launch, today in this video, I'm going to be showing you the same exact thought process that we use every single time whenever we are launching a campaign. It's 3 different phases, and I'm going to show you how to utilize these 3 different phases and utilize it inside your launch sequence if you want to be able to not just serve your clients at a much deeper level, but also have them finally understand what are you actually launching and how do you get them to invest in what it is that you do through email. Make sure you never have any other launch online until you actually go through this video. I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes to a coaching call that I recently did that shows you exactly how to make that happen. Let's begin. Welcome to this week's, or rather this session of Implementation Hour, and it seems like a bold promise. It seems like the bar is high. I don't know if we will be able to accomplish what it is that we set out. We have done that every single time when we set out to do it. I believe we can do it as well. But the goal here is to be able to give you that absolute clarity on how do you structure an email launch sequence from end to end so that I'm not just teaching you how to do it, you'll be able to do it like forever. Now, you've probably heard me say this before, okay? But how I look at email sequences and promos is that there are really only 3 different categories, okay? Every single category of email in every campaign, I'm always thinking like, which bucket does it fall under? Now, because there are different types of buyers motivated and incentivized by different things, okay? So whenever I launch something new, so a new offer, so it could be Black Friday, it could be linked to Christmas, it could be linked to, it's the new year, right? And new year, new you, new goals, new strategies, right? New resolution. And at the start, the first wave of people that will always buy from me, okay? And I discovered this, selling on stages, okay? We call this the multiple wave close, okay? Now, one of the things about selling on stages is this, okay? Now, typically, after I pitch and after I get off stage, this was an event in Brazil in 2017, I believe, okay? Now, typically the first wave of people that will go to the back tables and buy something, okay? This first group of people are sold based on just how they're feeling at that moment, which is basically, I have a gut feeling that this thing is great, I'm in, okay? Why? Because I feel like buying. So this first wave of people is people who follow their emotion. Emotion is typically driven by, you know what? Yeah, I feel that frustration, I feel that pain, I feel that struggle, I feel it's time to do something different. Emotion could be, I get it, the joy of being able to have that outcome, the joy of being able to have that result, that freedom, that health, that time, just that alone, right? Forget about the price. In order to attract the first wave of people to buy, we got to be able to think about, right? People are usually just motivated by 2 things, okay? So please write down, it's either the carrot or the stick. It's either the motivation that's associated by the payoff or the outcome of being able to get the thing, or the pain, right? What's the stick, right? The stick is the pain. The pain of staying the same, at the same exact place in their life, right? So that's a stick. And people will only take action either by the carrot or the stick, okay? So now what does this mean? It means that in your first level of communication, when it comes to launching something, the first group of people that buy are always going to be the people that buy based on their emotion, right? Every single time. The main reason why people buy is because they feel like buying. That's why people buy. So our job is to be able to get people to feel like buying, because that's why people buy. So the question is, how do we get somebody to feel like buying your offer? Well, how do we evoke this emotion to buy your offer? So this is going to be the first set of communication via emails that typically go out, right? It is to evoke a specific emotion. So the question is, how do we do that? The first framework, right? The first part is, one of the most common things that I use is using stories. Okay, you'll notice that every time I teach, every time I am communicating or showing a specific thing, I will typically use some sort of story to better illustrate that thing, right? Sometimes it could be an analogy, sometimes it could be an observation. What are the purpose of these different stories? Well, it is first of all to make the point that you're trying to make a lot more interesting. That's number one. But stories enable you to create different angles and emails that's a lot more interesting, that's a lot more exciting, that's a lot more engaging, okay, in order to evoke emotion and to get your audience to see the importance of what it is that you do. Okay, so number one is typically just think about a story about anything. It could be something that you saw in the news. It could be stories about what you're seeing that's happening. It could be about the cancel culture. It could be the political scene. It could be something that you notice. Okay, this could be a personal story, something that you went through in life. Okay, this could be literally a story book that you read while you were a kid. And that brings us to number two. Number two is the connection. Okay, so I might tell a story and then I will have some sort of bridge or a link. The third part, you gotta have some sort of takeaway, right? You gotta be able to transition to the moral of the story. Now it's interesting, right? There's some sort of transition. So why am I telling you this? And there's a takeaway. Now, when you do this well, notice what happens. Now your email is no longer just the deal, right? What do most people do? Most people, they send an email out and they say, what's up everybody? I'm coming out with this amazing deal. It's called the Spotify Growth Engine. It's here to help you make more fans, right? They go straight into the deal, right? There's no real reason or takeaway where a person feel like, hey, this is an interesting read, right? Let me read this ad. Let me watch this video. Let me take a look at this email. And that's how you can first start to get people to engage with your stuff. And then finally, you are linking it to some sort of call to action, right? So what's a call to action? If you would like to be able to grow your fan base so that you're not just creating great music, but there's people actually around to hear it, this is where this upcoming Black Friday, we've created an amazing deal where you get to take, where where we are taking off 75% of our regular price, or we're giving you away a free 14-day trial, right? Call to action, right? Because of launch name. So this is when now you are able to get people into a different state where they're thinking about their outcome, where they're excited about it, or they're thinking about their current state where it could be frustration, right? Think about the emotion associated to that story. So it's not about the duration of the story. It is, if I told this story, can I get my audience still engaged from end to end, right? That's the question to ask. How can you take normal conventional wisdom, create a spin on it, disagree with it, so that it stands out, so that your comment section will have people that's for you, defending you. There'll be people that doesn't agree with you, and have them fighting in the comment section that brings up your engagement even further as a result of doing this. So notice what I'm doing. It's like you can literally take anything, right? I just took like the elections as a talking point, and then now it's a lot more interesting, right? Rather than here's the deal, right? I've got an amazing thing that's called the content machine, right? Come join us. We're taking 75% off, right? That's when it's boring. This means that in every launch sequence, right? Yeah, that's amazing. I might use that. Yeah. In every launch sequence, I'm thinking about what are some observations, stuff that's trending, things that's in the news. How can I, okay, write this sentence down, guys. How can I use my environment as inspiration to what it is that I do? Like every single thing. Like what you learned today, I can tell you that itself, what you did today, that itself has a lesson there. Even if it was the normal, boring, mundane day that you went through, that itself is an email there as well. Right? There's always something that can be where you could have drawn inspiration and utilize it to tell a story, to either motivate, inspire, or help them see, right, to that specific outcome and to have that ambition, or to be able to see the current pain that they're in so that they want to be able to change that. So every single time, okay, if you're sending out an email and you're coming from the angle of like, man, but what do I talk about? Right, the easiest is just, well, what did I do this week? Literally, what did I do? Right? Or it could be like just, what's a recent movie that I enjoyed? Let me talk about that movie and link it to like why it was my favorite movie, and then link it to my offer. Right? There's always a link, right? Could be anything, okay? But there's always a method, a link in order to make it interesting, so the audience also feels like, oh man, I never saw it from this light or this angle before. Okay, so that's the first angle. Okay, so utilizing it based on emotion, and using that as the start, kind of like of the sequence and of the email series. Okay, so emotion-based emails, how can you use this? It could be like, you could talk about the joy of the outcome, right? It could be the pain of the current state. It could be based on something that's trending. It could be based on observation you see. The muscle that I'm trying to train all of you over here is something that is not just applied in email sequences, you know, it's also applied in ads and anything that requires, you know, it could be videos. So this could be like, I remember watching Beauty and the Beast. And this is a true story, by the way. This is a true story. I genuinely felt this. So this is how I genuinely felt. And I turned it into an ad. I genuinely felt that the villain, who is Gaston, he didn't need to die. I always felt that killing him off, because he is this guy that, yeah, you know, he's just like, seems a little bit sexist, seems, you know, like self-absorbed, vain. But do those traits really warrant death? Now, yeah, he was mean to his potential father-in-law. And that actually prompted me to create an ad that says, you know, here's why I believe that Belle would have been better off if she went with Gaston instead. Okay, now what's that? That's like, oh wait, what? Right, curiosity. That's emotion. Now, I'm not going to go deep into that, but or the psychology behind it. Some of you might have seen that ad about a year plus 2 years ago. But that's how I think about my first level of emails. Okay, it's just what kind of emotion can I evoke, and can I use that through stories in order to make it more interesting, so that it's not just another dry, boring email or ad or video. Now, the next level to why people might not buy. Okay, so I walked you guys through like a typical pitch or presentation. The next wave of buyers are the people that is still seated. And after the first wave of buyers, they're now like thinking themselves, right? Logically. So that's number two. The second group of buyers is the logic-based buyers. Now, what's logic? Logic would be to now answer questions like, oh wait, but I gotta send my kid over to your place, what, 3 times a week? Oh wait, but you know, my kids already schedule is already filled with all these extracurricular activities. How am I going to find the extra time to send my kid over? All these are all logic-based questions right now. Logic might be, so this $200 a month that I'm going to be spending with you, why don't I spend it on this other alternative instead, right? Logic-based question. So in your next series of emails, what you want to be able to do now is to be able to answer these few angles, okay? The first angle that all of you can use, and you'll notice me utilizing it in my upcoming Black Friday sequence, okay, is, first one, please write down, is frequently asked questions. Okay, I use this all the time, okay? So after I've told the deal, right? So after the first wave of, hey, we're having this Black Friday, right? It's absolutely insane. Here are the different things you're gonna get. Here's how it's gonna change the way you run your business, right? All these are all emotions. It's going to give you the freedom you need. It's going to be able to help you leverage scale, right? All these are just, right, based on emotion, based on outcome, to either get to the dream outcome, which is the carrot, or the pain of staying the same, which is the carrot, the stick. Okay. But after that's said and done, okay, there is going to be the Johnnies and the Carms and the Thomas and the Johns out there that's going to go, meh, right? I'm not sold by these type of things. Okay, so they want to be able to see, like, so what's the deal? Okay, so this is typically how a FAQ sequence or email might look like to answer a logical based buyer. So an angle might be your top questions answered. Okay, now what I always do is, for logic based, I'm always thinking about beginning with the what. So this would be, over the last couple of days, since we launched Black Friday, we've had a lot of questions coming in, and I thought about, rather than answering these questions one by one, here are the top frequently asked questions we got in the last couple of days. And it's just questions you prepared beforehand. Okay. Question number one, the what. So what is this Black Friday deal all about? For a limited time, in the next 5 days, we're taking all of our best trainings, our products, yada, 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 and we're putting it together at a 93% discount. Right, that's the what. Why? Okay, so you might be wondering, what's the catch? Why is there such a good deal? Well, first of all, number one, I've never done a Black Friday deal before, and I wanted to really make an insane one so that people will be talking about it. But I also know that chances are, when you start utilizing it, you'll see the value of what it is that you do, and most probably you'll become a customer for life, right? Why? Okay. Third question you typically want to answer is how, right? What, why, how? How would be, so how are we going to be doing it? How does it work? How often do we meet? How does the program last, right? How? What are the steps involved? Okay. So typically these three questions, if you think about, and I'm now going beyond just email, okay? This could be also the way you teach. I'm always thinking about, if I teach a specific concept, what is the concept? Why is the concept important? How does it work? Right? Action steps, right? The how. Now, typically, if you can answer this, the logical mind, in most cases, that's when they're a little bit more at ease, because they're getting the questions that they want answered. So this is when you also want to put in an objection they have, and maybe disguise that as a frequently asked question. Okay, so this could be an objection that they have. Now, this could be a separate email altogether, or this could be just a question within the frequently asked question. Okay, so inside your frequently asked question, this is actually a very good chance to think about, how can you, what other objections do you think is stopping them? And you can put it as your frequently asked question, or if you feel that this objection is something that's so big because they ask the question all the time, this could warrant one email on its own. So whatever objection that they have, right, use that as a talking point, right? So if it's, how fast can I see this result? Put that in that email. So notice I'm just having some sort of moral to the story, some sort of takeaway, but I am still placing their objection as the talking point, because that's going to be the thing that makes it great. So this angle could be like, so in the recent days, I've been telling you about promotion name. I've been talking about the Black Friday deal of a lifetime. And to recap, here's everything that you're going to get as a result of this one-time investment, right? Recap: item number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, whatever it might be, right? Total value, right? Everything that you're going to get. Okay, so sometimes people need to be able to see the entire stack, right, with numbers, right? So they can see, oh, okay, this is exactly what I'm going to get. Okay, so this is another great way to target logical buyers. Logical buyers need to see visually the item numbers, like how many things am I getting, right? Out of these 7 things I'm getting, what is it exactly, and how is it going to work for me? Okay, so another good way to target logical buyers, okay, is please write down best case versus worst case scenario. Okay, best case versus worst case scenario. So the logical buyer is always thinking, okay, but what if I do this? What's the best case? What's the worst case? Okay, so this would be, so by now you're probably thinking about working together with us when it comes to fill in the blank offer name. And for those of you that still sitting on the fence, I get it, right? You want to be able to make that informed decision, and that's a good thing. And here's what I would like you to think about: the best case scenario versus worst case scenario. And that brings us to the closeout. Okay, like I mentioned, there's always only 3. And the third one would be scarcity. If a person's not driven by emotion, if they're not driven by logic, it's really because there's just no real compelling reason to act now. Okay, so you could have a great offer. I'm emotionally sold, invested. It could be the case that right now, logically, I know I should be doing this. But if I'm not taking action, it's really because there's just no compelling reason to do so now. In every single campaign, the 2 periods where you get the most sales is always when you open cart and when you close cart. Okay, it's weird, right? It's not in between. Okay, these 2 moments will be higher than all of your days in between, right? So while, you know, having an evergreen offer is great, if you have something that is seasonal or promotional, like a Black Friday deal, you got to be able to have some sort of deadline, because you'll notice that it is at the deadline where most people will buy, sometimes even more than when the cart opens. This is when you want to be able to close off with scarcity, okay? Or the fact that this thing is going away. So you want to be able to think about the whole reason for scarcity is that, so to answer the question of why now, okay, write those 2 words down. Why now? Why should they take action within this time frame and not later when they come back? Okay, so this could be, okay, so write down these few possibilities. Okay, so it could be this Black Friday discount is going to be over in whatever, 24 hours, 2 days, right? Close it out, right? This is your final 3 hours, final 1 hour, right? So discount ending, first angle. Number 2, let's say this is not Black Friday. Okay, I want to be able to give you this as a skill set that you can utilize. Maybe if it's not Black Friday, maybe you do this by intakes or batches. So this would be like, the reason why this offer is ending, like as a marketer, I would love to be able to have this offer sell all year round evergreen. But the intake for this specific batch, this specific group is starting this Thursday. So we need to be able to close off registrations so that I can do a good job with this current intake that's happening this Thursday. Okay, so it could be like, we're starting now and that's why we need to close. Okay, It could be a physical limitation, right? So it could be, I printed 1,000 of these books, and when it's sold out, we're gonna go to the printers again to order our next batch, and it's gonna take typically another 2 months before we restock. Okay, so it's gonna be like a physical limitation to the amount of things they have. Or it could be location, right? So it could be the place that we booked out only allows 50 seats, 100 seats, 1,000 seats. And while I love to be able to pack it up with more people, there's this thing called the law, and we won't be able to go over. So in other words, right, what I'm doing is like I'm utilizing a reason to act now because it's going to go away. So to quickly recap, okay, so if it's based on scarcity based, this is how you close off every campaign, right? So this is when you have a countdown, right? Cards closing in 48 hours, in 24 hours, in 3 hours, right? The 3-hour card close campaign is typically pretty mad as well. Yeah, and X amount of spots left. So we've got, our intake is starting, our pricing goes back. Okay, so email launch sequence recap. You always open with, what is it? Emotion. Good way to evoke emotion through storytelling. Stories make your sequences and what it is that you teach a lot more interesting, exciting. It drives engagement. That feels like there's some sort of takeaway by consuming your content. Okay. After that, you back it up with reason and logic for the logical buyer. And then after that, after you've answered, this could be answering their frequently asked questions. This could be their objections. This could be on their pricing, right? Best case scenario, worst case scenario. And then finally closing it off with scarcity. Okay, so that is literally how I structure all of my emails. Well, I hope you enjoyed the behind the scenes to this coaching call. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below what your biggest takeaway is. And as always, be sure to smash the like button. It does help the channel out a little bit. And to subscribe to this channel if you want to be notified of future videos just like this one. Now, some of you asking me, how can I be part of this process? How can I ask you questions? How can I have you coach me or mentor me? We want to make sure that we are working with the people that's the right fit. You'll need to fill up a form. There's a link right below this video. Somebody on my team might give you a call to interview you to see if they're right fit for each other. And if you want to apply and see if you're a good fit, then all you need to do is click on this link in the description box below and my team will be in touch with you.